Hindsight is always 2020, and even though Minnesota Vikings general manager Kwesi Adofo-Mensah is in his first year, I mean, half the fun of sports is questioning the judgment and decisions by team executives, by coaches, by players, etc. And Kwesi, a little bit no different in terms of the backup quarterback situation. So Kellen Mond hasn't panned out the way that they wanted him to this offseason. Sean Mannion is still Sean Mannion. They had to actually trade for Mullins coming over from the Raiders. Everything's going to be all right. Nick Mullins. That's right. So the Vikings' backup quarterback spot behind Kirk Cousins is still unsettled, as well as the job of quarterback of the future is still vacant, right? And hindsight being 2020, like we said, should the Vikings have taken a quarterback in the 2022 class? Now, before we just completely change history, right? So all these rookies haven't played a regular season game yet. Some have looked good, some have looked bad in preseason, whatever. Also, let's not forget that this quarterback class was regarded as one of the weaker quarterback classes in decades. Right? It's a little bit rough, but the Vikings, could they have added some youth at the quarterback position, some competition for Kellen Mond, or were Kwesi Adofo-Mensah and Kevin O'Connell so sold on Kellen Mond and Mama, I can change him, that they're like, we can pass. We can pass in this spot. So playing armchair GM, going back through and seeing the Vikings draft picks. Again, very solid 2022 class, especially through training camp and preseason. I think that this is going to be a cornerstone foundation class for the Vikings going forward in the new regime. But looking where they were picked versus where the quarterbacks were selected. Now, we listed Kenny Pickett went 20 overall to the Steelers. But remember, the Vikings were originally at 12 before they traded down with the Detroit Lions, down to 32. They had that number 32 pick from the Rams. So the Vikings, they could have sticked and picked and took Kenny Pickett, the pride of Pitt. I fell in the pit at number 12 overall. Now, that would have been a little bit controversial since the Vikings did have a lot of other needs. And also remember, the trade down with the Lions precipitated all of that sweet draft capital that allowed the Vikings to maneuver a lot on day 2 as well as at the top of day 3. So basically, if the Vikings took Pickett, you're going to sit him for 2 seasons minimum with Kirk Cousins, and then you're not going to have a couple of these mid-round picks because of the capital that you got from trading down from the Lions. So keep that in mind. So that's Kenny Pickett, who has looked good. I still think the Steelers are probably going to start Mitchell Trubisky-Ponder out of the gate, but I do think that Kenny Pickett, besides his small hand, smells like cabbage, does have a bright future in this league. And they got Lewis Cine at 32. They got a run of Andrew Booth Jr., Ed Ingram, Brian Asamoah. I'm not giving up any of those 4 guys. I ain't doing it, because you would have to give up one of them if you're going to take the second strata of quarterbacks taken in the 3rd round. Desmond Ritter, 74 overall, going to the Falcons. I did like him coming out of Cincinnati. I had a big-time draft crush on him 2 years ago before he returned for his senior season. I do think that the Falcons have a potential starting quarterback on their hands down the line. Mariota is going to start the season, is what it is. Then Malik Willis. So Malik Willis has put up the highlights. I think that he still is a little bit inconsistent, but of course he's a rookie and it's preseason, so you expect that. But you do see the ceiling, like you do see the high highs. You do see the reason why he was considered by some as a first-round talent coming out of Liberty, even though small school competition. He does have those traits. He does have that escapability. He does have that fearlessness that I like a lot. At 86 overall to the Titans, he's obviously going to take over for Tannehill once they're done with him. Matt Corral going to the Panthers, joining that cluster. Well, they drafted Corral before they traded for Baker, so but him going to the Panthers in that cluster screw. Unfortunately, he had as a Liz Frank injury, going to miss the season. It is what it is. But so basically, you would have to give up one of Cine, Booth, Ingram, or Asamoah to take Ritter, Willis, or Corral. I'm not doing that. I'm not, like, even if it came down to, would I rather have Brian Asamoah or Malik Willis? It's pretty close, because Brian Asamoah is going to be a bad dude. He's going to be a bad dude. Like, Cine, Booth, Ingram, and Asamoah are all going to be starters on the Vikings within 2 years. 100%. 100%. So you're going to give up a surefire starter for, one of the quarterbacks that do have potential. I don't know. I don't know, man. And then you get to the next tier. So you got Caleb Evans, who, remember, the Vikings traded up for at the beginning of day 3 with some of the draft capital that they got from trading down from 12. So Caleb Evans, I think Evans is going to be a starter too. I do think that the cornerback trio is going to be Evans, Booth, and Dantzler. Down the line after Patrick Peterson hangs them up. They'll figure it out. Like, so one of them will have to play slot they'll get on though. But would you rather have Evans or Bailey Zapp coming out of Western Kentucky going to the Patriots, or Slinging Sam Howell going to the Commies? I mean, I'd rather have Evans. Yes. Now, where it gets close is, I would say, Sam Howell and Usezi at 165. Usezi, I like a lot. I think that he has potential for 2-3 years down the road. But could you have traded up to pass the Commies at 144? Package up some of these day 2 selections? Sure. Or excuse me, day 3 selections. But am I taking Sam Howell over Ty Chandler? No, I'm not. And then at the back end of the draft, you got Ola Doken, who's already been let go by the Steelers. Skyler Thompson, who low-key has been a preseason superstar for the Dolphins. He's tossed 5 touchdowns. He's pretty firmly the third quarterback in Miami behind Tua and Teddy. Would you have taken Skyler Thompson over Nick Muse? Sure. Also, do you know Brock Purdy is PFF's highest graded preseason quarterback this year for the rookies? That's pretty amazing. But Mr. Irrelevant, the last pick in the draft, Brock Purdy looked pretty good against the Vikings threes week 2 in preseason. So would you have taken Brock Purdy over Nick Muse? Sure. But could you say for certain that Purdy or Skyler Thompson is going to be your QB2 or quarterback of the future? Probably not. So overall, I think that even though it's easy to have a knee-jerk reaction, even just so soon into these guys' careers, hindsight being 2020, just because it hasn't worked out with Sean Mannion and it really hasn't worked out with Kellen Mond thus far. But and they did have to trade and bring in Nick Mullins. But again, going back to this list, who would you be firmly comfortable with as QB2 right now? Probably Kenny Pickett, maybe Ritter, maybe Willis. Corral got hurt, but that's really it. And again, if you took Pickett, you would miss out on a lot of the day 2 guys. And if you took Ritter, Willis, or Corral, you'd miss out on Asin, Booth, Ingram, or Asamoah. So, I mean, you can't have your cake and eat it too in this situation. There's no such thing as a free lunch. So, I don't know. Yes, we're sort of stuck in the middle with you at this point. And I understand the grass is always greener, but sometimes it's not. But I think the focus definitely needs to be 2023, investing either a first or second round pick on a quarterback of the future there. So we'll go from there. But your thoughts are thoughts. Should the Vikings have drafted a quarterback in the 2022 NFL draft? Hindsight being 2020. Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But until next time, Skull Production Value.